I'm sitting over here at the studio and the team started having a conversation. And we were just discussing if Khabib comes back in 2027, does he walk right into a title shot? Okay. Now, of course, I had to ask the author of the question, why did you pick 2027? What does that represent? He said, well, that'll be 5 years removed from the sport. So more specifically, the question is, 5 years removed from the sport, Khabib returns, does he walk into a title shot? Now, I have to stop you because we're very much going in the wrong direction. Like if we're salivating, we're still keeping the idea that Khabib is going to return. If we do that, okay, one thing that we do in our fantasy is we insert him at 155 pounds. The likelihood of Khabib coming back, I don't believe it. Dana was asked about this video a couple weeks ago. It had something to do with a grappling match. They were gonna ease Khabib, keep him in competition, take him out of fight. It had something to do with a grappling match. It was a very quick comment, but he said that he wasn't going to do that. Now, there's nothing new there. Khabib has been extremely consistent on this. For some reason, other people bring the topic up. And this isn't going to go away. By the way, as we get closer to Islam versus Charles, believe me, there's going to be more and more conversation about Khabib. However, I'm just sharing with you, even if you're in fantasy land and you're trying to piece this together, the one part that people continue to miss is you're now putting Khabib at 170 pounds. I think that makes the fantasy more interesting. I mean, and now you start playing a game against Khabib versus Chimaev. I mean, you start playing a very different game, and I only correct you on that because people do continue to fail. Khabib, like anybody, does not get smaller with time. There's been videos that have come out. Khabib was rolling with Luke Rockhold, and that piece of theater was used as a promotion for Luke's fight against Paulo Costa. Now, that should have been private. That was between them, and that was a practice. But it came out, and Luke didn't shy away from it, even talked about it. He said, yeah, but one thing about it is Paulo Costa doesn't weigh as much as Khabib. Trying to make a joke, and he was trying to be funny, but there's a lot of truth in that, and I'm just bringing that to your attention. Like, 155 pounds was always a challenge for Khabib. Off the top of my head, he missed weight twice. I know that I'm right on that. The part I could have, it might have been 3 times. And so as time goes on, and we as human beings don't get smaller with time, we're not training, we're not working as hard because we're not competitive athletes, right? I mean, it's calories in versus calories out. So when you have the fantasy of Khabib returning, right, it's a 2-part question. Are you asking me if Khabib comes back, even though we arbitrarily picked 2027, let's throw that out. If Khabib comes back, does he walk into a title fight? Yes. The answer to that is yes. You guys would not resist that. You would expect, as a matter of fact, that if Khabib is coming back, that there's a belt on the line. I'm just telling you, if you're going to have this fantasy, you're never going to get your way. It's just going to be a wish. And I'm fairly confident telling you that even extends to grappling. I don't think that Khabib, within his mind, when he made this statement that we're told was even a promise to his mother. Heavy stuff. I mean, those are heavy words, but we were never told that that was pertained to a sport called mixed martial arts. I interpreted that as a whole, that Khabib meant I am no longer going to compete. And I think I'm right. I think I'm the one that interpreted that right. Khabib is not dangled and Khabib is not weighed. And there was all this talk of Khabib versus George St. Pierre. I mean, believe me, I was right in the thick of it and trying to steal this thing up. There was nothing even behind the scenes that would lead me to a conclusion to tell you guys other than you should have interpreted Khabib's farewell, his concession, his retirement speech as a retirement from competition. Khabib hedged one time. And I think it slipped out of his mouth. I don't know if you had the power of the edit button, right? If he had an eraser, I'm not sure he would have taken it back. Now, he would have honored it because he said it. He's that kind of guy. But one time is the only time he's ever gotten a little bit loose, and it had to do with Conor McGregor versus Islam. Khabib was just trying to get Islam to fight. Khabib said, if Conor will fight Islam, oh, by the way, and if Conor beats him, I'll come back and fight Conor. It just came out of his mouth. I'm just sharing with you that came out. People tried to add to it. People tried to get him double down, triple down. I don't think Khabib's competing again. Oh, and by the way, when I say that, I don't think I should be looked at as Kreskin or some kind of smart guy in the room. Khabib said this. He's never once flinched. But if you're doing this fantasy, right? I can still answer the question, even though Khabib's not going to compete again. I can still answer the question that if he came back, would he go for a title? Absolutely. But if you guys want to just kick this around and just have some fun, don't wonder how we would do with Chandler. Don't wonder what McGregor Part 2 would look like. You got to put him at 170 pounds. And even though it's mythical, I just gave you a way to have a lot more fun. I just created a hell of a lot of different matches. Leon Edwards versus Khabib. You in? Yeah, you're in. You're in. Not to mention that's an interesting matchup. Just to share with you, if you're doing the fantasy and you're wondering about a future match with Khabib, pair him up correctly and pair him up at welterweight.